Are we turning over?
We are.
Okay, well I'm going to get this, actually, let's do a quick thing here, because, and when you watch this back you'll see what I'm doing. Right, hello everyone. Thank you all very much for coming today. That's me on there, I'm going to put it down. Just want to say, I know you've seen this, you've met him already, but that is Paul, and he is our DOP. Does anybody know what a DOP, apart from Chris, does anybody know what a DOP is?
Director of Photography.
Director of Photography, exactly. And Director of Photography is someone that you really do need to be friends with, because he can make you look brilliant, but if he's got the hump with you, he can make you look terrible as well. So we'll make friends with Paul. Right, okay, so acting for camera. I think the first thing I want to say is that this is the first bit that's important, and the second bit is less so. Okay, even though today we're going to look at the technical stuff about it, you are still acting. So all the stuff that you're doing on the course, all the things about building character, all the things about motivation, all the things about imagery, all your voice technique, critical on camera for different reasons. Obviously, if you're on stage, you want to be able to say, oh, if we use a fire, I'm going to send the brightest heaven of invention. But that's no good if I'm going into that camera and doing that, because I'll blow the sound recorder's ears out. So you've got to be much smaller with that. So you've got to find something else to make it real, which is, who is here about the eyes? Matteo is not here yet. Okay, but you know, with camera stuff, we want it all to be in the eyes. Now, I'm jumping on a bit, but if you watch someone, a good screen actor, one of the techniques that they use is that they don't do anything. They have a complete blank canvas. If the writing's good enough and they've set up some key trigger points, then you'll interpret what they're doing. You'll see in their performance isn't necessarily there, if you see what I mean. So sometimes with camera stuff, less is more. That's jumping to the end. Okay, so the most critical thing that I want to tell you about today, and everything that we do, and I tell you this in the very first lesson that you've all seen. And by the way, you're all at different stages of what you're doing, so you've all seen different lessons, but I know you've all at least all seen the first one. So what are we doing here today? What is it that we are doing? What's the most important thing to remember when we are here? What do we do for a living? We don't tell anybody else this, but what do we do?
Act.
We act, but there is something. What are we going to see?
Play.
We go and see.
Play.
Yeah, you know the answer to this. So what are we doing here today?
Playing.
We're playing, okay? It's absolutely critical. Whatever you do in the theatre, on television, in a film, remember that you're playing. If you can do that, then there's lots of things that happen. One is just that your creative energies are not blocked. Two, people like you, because if you go on set and, believe it or not, in 30 years that I've been acting professionally, it's the people that people like that get on, that people like working with. Every star that I've ever worked with has been the loveliest person that you could hope. All the sort of semi-wannabes are all the miserable people that nobody wants to work with, okay? Remember that, it's important, and I've put that's going to go online, so you know who you are. So, remember that we're playing, it's fun, okay? Who's seen the Tom Hardy video? Yeah, Beth and Steve. Okay, so you know Tom, he does all of this sort of stuff. You think, oh my God, he's so intense. He's not at all. He messes about all the time. When we were on the bill, we used to do Nick, come up here. So Nick is on the bill, so we're going to work on some two-camera stuff in a minute. He's taller than me, so he can go behind me. But Nick, if you're saying your lines to me, you're seeing Oscar for 316 receiving and all of this malarkey. Now we're doing two-camera work, so I'm one of your friends, one of your other actors. You've got to be dead serious. The camera's there, nobody can see my face. What am I doing?
You can do anything.
I can do anything you like. So a lot of the time I'll be pulling faces, or I would be because I'm very professional. But it happens a lot, so you have a lot of fun when you're acting. But you know, you've got to be, I'm not saying don't be professional, but let's today make sure that we are having fun and we're enjoying ourselves. Okay, with that in mind, have you all finished your coffee yet? No, let's do it. I'll do one more thing. I'll do one more thing before we start being too physical. Who shall I have? Let's have Wayne. Now, you know this business that I've spoken about, which is the one thing that I want, is the hardest thing for you to learn, but it's one of the things that I want to get through to you a lot of the time in the whole of your acting. This business about antenna and hummingbirds. Okay? Now, Wayne is going to demonstrate that to us. He doesn't know who he is yet, but he's going to demonstrate that. So, Wayne, what I want you to do is I want you to stand with your back against that wall. What I want you to do, if you Paul, you okay with this?
Yeah.
Walk across there. So all I want is Wayne, I want you to just walk across that to the wall. Yep. Wayne's an expert at it. Brilliant. Yeah? Come back. Now, Wayne, I want you to walk across to the other side of the wall, but I want you to explain to us exactly every physical movement that you're making.
Walking across, left
Oh,
foot,
left foot, yeah, okay.
left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot.
Oh, hold on a second.
Right foot, left foot, right.
Hold on a second. No, you must be doing something else, because if you're just doing left foot, right foot, you'd still be here.
Right.
Couldn't you? Okay, come back and explain it to me.
I am gliding across. Left.
So what's your head doing? What's your head doing? What are your arms doing?
Moving
What are you-
hands,
what-
etc. Moving around.
What are you doing? It gets a lot more complicated, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? When you have to start thinking about, okay, so actually what I've got to do is I've got to lift that foot off the floor, and then I've got to lean forward onto that foot, and then catch myself on that foot, and then I've got to move forward onto that one, and lean forward. By the way, I'll lift my head up, and the point is that if you're thinking about all of those things, you can't do it. That's what I was trying to get you to demonstrate. Well done, mate. Brilliant. Matteo, how you doing? Lovely to meet you too. Brilliant. Right, we've just got. You haven't missed anything that's important. Sorry. Don't you worry. That's all right. You're going to go. You're going to get the attention. Put that. You can sit there. I don't know whose name that is.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Let's go in the corner.
So this is Matteo. We get Matteo name tag as well. Okay, so that is kind of one of the things that we've got to do. We've got to be able to get our acting skills to the point where we're not thinking about them, where we can just walk from one side of them without thinking about what our body is doing, what our words are doing, what any of our technique is doing. Because if you start to think about it, then that's when people in the audience can, even though they don't know, they know that you're thinking about it, they do know it, and that's what makes them uncomfortable. Right? So that's the end result, that's where we want to get to. Okay, so having said that we are here to have fun, let's stand up and everybody come up behind me. Right, so who's nervous about today? Exactly. Paul is, I am. I've got a dry throat, dry mouth now. I've done it for ages. Right, so take your coat off. We'll get to. But any time you're performing, naturally you get tense. Okay, it's natural. It doesn't. Ian Holm. People don't remember it. Ian Holm played not Frodo, Bilbo in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Now Ian Holm was a brilliant stage actor, and all of a sudden he got stage fright. So bad that he couldn't do stage, and he didn't do stage for 20 years. So I'm not suggesting you get that, what I'm saying is that everybody, including me now, I've got a dry mouth, everybody gets nervous. So the first thing that we need to do is to make sure that nerves don't turn us into that. No, that's fine, but we want to be able to, that's exactly, none of these things are criticism because we all do it, and I'm still doing it all those years later. Will, hands out your pockets. Okay, so, what I want you to do, for those that Will could talk us through this, Christian's done it, I think we are going to do something now which is going to just, we're not going to get rid of the tension in our bodies, but we're going to become aware of it. Okay? Now, this sounds strange, but every single actor that you can ever imagine, whether they're doing Emmerdale Farm, whether they're doing James Bond, whether they're doing The King's Head, the chicken shed in Islington, which is good, and if you get offered a chance to work with the head of chickens in Islington, you should do, you won't be crying. Right, so first things first is that we won't be standing in a position that's fairly neutral so that we can find out where our tension is. How we do that, Will, isn't it? We have
Invisible string.
We have an invisible string that goes up to the ceiling, okay? Because you can hang from that. Now, if you're hanging from that, your body will say, okay, that's fine. I don't have to concentrate on any of these things. I can just concentrate on hanging from that string, and everything falls naturally. Whereas if you try to make yourself stand up straight, you immediately get tense. Did you feel the difference? So, hang from that string. Just tighten it a little bit. Now, all you're doing now is you're just familiarising yourself with your instrument. You know, violinists have violins, pianists have pianos, you know, saxophonists have saxophones. We have our bodies, so it's really important that we get to know it as well as they know their pianos. So, this is a period every day, just to go through this very quickly, just to familiarise yourself with it. And just check in. Things you don't even think about. You know, how does your right instep feel? How does the left elbow feel? You know, just check in with these things. Pick something. You will start, because actually what's happened as well is, in the time that I've been doing this, science has improved as well. So they now know that actually what happens is when you start doing this, the reason you become better at it is because your brain starts making connections. It starts making the synapses, I think they're called, so it becomes easier. This is why practice doesn't make perfect, but practice makes permanent. Okay, so if you're practicing the right things, your brain will rewire itself. So again, just get used to saying, I need to know if there's any tension in my elbow. I need to know if there's any tension in my neck. I need to know particularly if there's any tension in my face, in my jaw. Okay? We're running through this because we haven't got a lot of time to spend on any of these things, but this is a critical warm-up that I want you to do every time. You do this every day, every time you're performing. Certainly every professional actor will do something like this at the beginning of their working day, if they don't do it every day. So, now we're going to cut that string and we're just going to roll down our spine. This gets more difficult. And you're going to roll down your spine all the way down as far as you can go, one vertebra at a time. So that you're hanging off, and if you try and say something, you sound like I do now, because my face is filling up. Okay, everybody stay there, I just want to have a look at you. So, I want you to feel as if, Sarah, let your neck go. That's beautiful. I want it to feel as if your head wasn't connected to your neck. It would just bounce on the floor, roll off down the street, and have to chase after it. That's the kind of feeling that I want to get. And again, try not to lock your knees as well. But again, just check this feeling. Check your body. The reason for this is to just get your brain used to being connected with your body. Okay? Because we have this weird thing. Some of you have seen this lesson. We have this weird thing that is that we have somehow managed to convince ourselves we have a mind and a body, and they're two different things. We don't. We just have a body or a mind. There is just one thing. So you need to make sure that it's connected to each other. That your brain and your body are the same thing, because essentially they are. We'd stay down here doing this longer. We're not going to do that for too long today. So, starting at the bottom, at your coccyx, if you know that, your tailbone, roll up to your full height, one vertebra at a time, bringing your head up last. You did bring your head up last. Me too. That's what happened. Oh, this is to play on your child in something. Yeah, very good, that's it. Okay, so, again, these are things that I want you to do at the start of every day, every session. We are also going to look at getting some life into our faces. We need our faces to do what it does when you think about what you want. Okay, there's a whole segment on Stanislavski, but essentially that's what it boils down to. Do what you want and your body will react to it. Okay, so let's just warm up our face. Big chewing gum, Will. We'll do that till it hurts. Big chewing gum in there. Okay. Now you've done that, just blow it out. Now this is so. I think you've all got so far as you've seen this. This is your organs of articulation. So now we've done the jaw. We're going to do the lips now. So big O. Don't move your jaw. Just your lips. And I promise, when you do this every day, you will get better at it. No, you will.
I have a problem with this.
Yeah, you know. Keep practicing. Well, exactly, you look useful. Keep practicing, because what will happen is your synapses. I mean, how many things have you learned to do in your life that you couldn't do before? Yeah? You couldn't walk, could you, when you were born? You just need to practice these things, and they're critical. Basic but critical. Little R. We go. It's great, isn't it? Because you can find things that you know, these are the things you need to work at. You go, oh, look, everyone, I could do it when I started. I couldn't. Okay, blow them out. Again, you should be thinking about this in the same way as if you're going to the gym. Okay, so reps, just do it until it hurts, and then stop, don't do it any more than that. All of those things, okay. So now we're going to do the tongue. And I can't stress enough, because we've got so much to go through today, I'm rushing through this. You would normally take, you know, if you're warming up, give yourself at least 20-15 minutes to do this. So, tongue. Stick it out and touch the wall in front of you. Now touch the ceiling. And now touch the floor. Ha, ha, ha. Apple. Oh, your right hand wall. Left hand. Okay. So we are going to go point, left, right, point, I'll say it, you do it. Point, left, right, point, left, right, up, down, point, left, right, point, left, right, up, down, down. Is your tongue hurting, yeah? Good. Okay, so again, just so we know. So they're tingling now, aren't they? Yeah, a little bit. So take the tip of your tongue, run them along the inside of the top of your teeth. And just concentrate on it. Okay, much later on in the course, we'll do something called loci of attention, right? But that means that that's where you'll put your attention, and you can get it down to a very fine, precise thing. So I don't think anybody's going to be able to do it now, but try to just to put your attention, all of your attention in the tip of your tongue. The outside of the top of your teeth with the tip of your tongue. The inside of the bottom of your teeth with the tip of your tongue. Outside of the bottom of your teeth with the tip of your tongue. Now take your tongue and write your name as in the air with your tongue with the precision of a Japanese calligrapher. Okay, these are the things that you need to be familiar with, you know. These are the things that you need to, these are your 5-finger exercises when you're playing the piano. Does anybody play the piano? But you can imagine, to get good at playing the piano, it takes ages practice, okay? You know, we need to put that amount of time and effort into these things as well to get to where we want to be. Because as I say, you're not training to be amateur actors, you're training to be professional actors. Yeah, and to be professional, you know, if you're going to go to the doctors, you don't want him to go, oh, I've got a pretty good idea about that. You want him to know exactly what it is that you're doing. And we need that to be doing. If I'm going to employ any of you as an actor, then I'm going to take it as read that you can do the job. You know, so that's your homework to get that bit, right? You know, so you've got to be able to do that. And if you can't, then word will spread. You know, so we'll look at that. To get these bits right. So, just one last little bit of a tongue twister I want to do with you, which is William. What is it called? What are your organs of articulation? The camera is on you now, so you're under no pressure. Exactly right. The tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. Okay, we've all done it. Everybody's seen that lesson. The tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. The tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. The tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. The tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. The tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. I'm concentrating. Tell yourself whether you're doing it properly or not. The tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. Now, that's all we're going to do as far as that is concerned. Can you feel now that your mouth feels like it's been to the gym?
Yeah.
Yeah? So that's the kind of feeling that you want. So that when you go on, and you know, if you're doing that kind of up close acting, you know, with an accent. I mean, we talk about Danny Dyer. Now everybody says, "Oh, Danny Dyer is terrible." You know, Danny Dyer's articulation is impeccable, even with that stupid Cockney accent. He articulates brilliantly. You can understand what he's saying. And that's because he's a professional actor, takes his career very seriously, even though he gives the impression of not being very, very serious. And that's something that we'll come on to later on as well. How many people have we got? 2, 4, 6, 8. And I'll do it with you, Will, yeah? Okay, get into pairs that you feel comfortable with. Actually, just don't get into pairs that you feel comfortable with. Just stay next to other people choosing. Right, so Wayne and Bethany, Christian and Anna, Sarah and Amy, Nick and Matteo. No, I know. I'm sorry for every minute. Put it. Right, okay, again, bit of fun. Think of something that you're an expert in, or that you know a lot about, or that you're passionate about. Okay? Now, you don't really have to be an expert in it doesn't matter. But what I'm going to do is that I want you to tell the other person about this thing for a minute. Okay? Yeah? Without stopping. But the problem is that your minutes both start at the same time. So Wayne is going to be telling definitely about his thing he knows all about at exactly the same time. Yeah. so and you're going to be telling Wayne exactly about what it is that you're passionate about. Okay. So are we going to do it all at the same time? Are we going to do? Would it be better if we?
Let's do these two.
Okay. So
talking at the same time.
at the same time. So this is a concentration exercise. In other words, okay, this is morning. This is concentration exercise, and we'll see whether you can concentrate. Again, we've got to get on that set, and I'm going to talk to you about some stuff.
Timers and then let us know what's it.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So what's passionate about? Yeah. What am I passionate about? Could that be about cooking spaghetti? Or?
You can cook anything you want. Cooking spaghetti is fine. It's fine. I love people that are passionate. They're my favourite people. People who are passionate about cooking spaghetti. Are you ready? In fact, just do 30 seconds. Go!
Okay, so if you want to cook like the super spaghetti, you need good pasta, the best idea is to be fresh. You need minced meat, tomatoes, fresh basil, perfectly from the garden. And then all you need to do, you need to fry onion on the pan, put the meats on it, and then simmer it for about 10 minutes, put the garlic in, then minced meat, and then you cook it.
Hey! 30 seconds. Well done, everyone. Brilliant, that's right. So, but again, right, if you can actually, I'll tell you at the end why this is important. So come back. Let's have Wayne and Beth up there.
Spaghetti, I'm not such a fan anyway.
I've got to do it as well. I think we're doing it. Yes. She didn't even know what he was talking about.
I was focusing on spaghetti.
Oh, just excuse me, sorry. We'll take this because this is the office. Just, Paul, can you do 30 seconds for these?
Okay, your 30 seconds will start now.
My arguments for a long time. He left my town in 1982 because nobody didn't like his music. Moved up to Belgium, decided to write the Midnight Love album, etc. Biggest hit was Sexual Healing. He did it in Austin, etc. He went back to America. He died, his father killed him because of the drugs. Marvin Gaye was one of the greatest artists of the time on earth, so born in 1939, and his father was a minister.
Stop! Did that feel like a lot more than 30 seconds? I'd imagine it was dead on 30 seconds, but I'd imagine when you're in that moment and you're trying to compete with the other person, it feels like a lot longer.
And the thing about it, because I know about that singer very much, it's like you feel kind of nervous, you're getting a bit tongue-tied.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, who wants to go next?
Right. How did they do?
They did really well. They did spectacularly.
Everyone, this is John. John Pegg. John, all we've done is we've done some warming up, right? So you know about the warming up stuff. You're just going to have to shoot what you've done. Okay. So remember those things. Just make sure everything that we do gets layered on top of each other, so you're still nice and relaxed. Gone. Okay. Just jump in. Just jump in. It's everything. Just jump in. Invent.
On this as well then. And go.
One of my passions right now is CFD training. I've started CFD training, so I was able to quit my job so I could do what I wanted rather than working sales jobs. So basically, CFD training is leverage investments where you invest a certain amount and it's leveraged to, say, 300 times what you pay money-wise. I'm doing this the last 2 years to make a sufficient amount of money so I can live my life how I like to. And there's different things you can go into. There's indexes, there's commodities, like generally you invest in natural gas, oil, and staying there.
Stop!
Everyone, guys, it's good. Okay, so, Matteo. Nick. Yeah, everybody gets nervous. This is what we do. Nick, what was Matteo talking about?
No idea.
Right, so we've got to start doing this. We've got to start doing this juggling and stuff, haven't we? You know, we've got to start thinking about what we're doing and thinking about what the other person's doing. Okay, we'll talk more about that as we go through. Sarah and Amy. Oh God, I've got to cut it out. Do it again, sorry. I can't say your surname.
Do I have to be in the same place for my
It doesn't matter. Sarah and Amy.
Trying to think of things to say.
Right, GDPR. Okay, shall I time it? Would it be easy if I timed it?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay. Go.
So I don't know very much about a lot of things, but randomly aquarium animals. Penguins, really, really cool. Black and white. The reason they're black and white is because that's to hide from predators. So a penguin is black on the top because when a predator is above it, that blends in with the seabed, and white on the bottom because when it's below it, that blends in with the sky, so nothing can see them. Ignore the fact they've got orange beaks and orange feathers. Don't know that stuff. But also, inside their mouth, have you ever seen the roof of a penguin's mouth? It's made of
And cut. Well done. Very good. Okay, so Amy, what was Sarah talking about?
absolutely no idea.
Okie dokie. So, what we've done there is, okay, so we've had a little bit of a warm up, we are now, and we've done something that's incredibly difficult. You've got to be able to listen to what somebody else is saying, take that in, and do what you're saying. When you're acting on stage, you get sort of 3 weeks at least rehearsal, and providing you can cope with your tension and everything, you get a lot of opportunity to, once you've got it in because you're in a run, you've done it a few times, you've done the press night, you've done the opening night, you've done all of these sorts of things, you and your colleagues on stage are pretty much in control of it, okay? So you can do it at your own pace, you're fairly comfortable with it. When you are on a film set, there are things that come into play that have got nothing at all to do with that. And the major thing that comes into play is time, right? So, when we're shooting a feature film, we generally like to get you budget it to get about 2 minutes of footage in the can a day. Okay, so your day's work as an actor, or everybody's day's work as an actor, will produce 2 minutes of the final film. That's how you budget it, okay? If you're doing a quality drama, television drama, maybe something like Our Friends in the North, which thank you, yeah. It was, yeah, I know. But
It was really good.
if you're doing something like that, we'd probably try to get about 8 or 9 minutes of the finished product in the can a day. If you're doing EastEnders, you get 20 minutes in the can a day. Now, that doesn't mean anything, does it really, to you lot? It's impossible to get 20 minutes in the can a day, and yet EastEnders have been doing it for the last 20 years. Okay? So the pressure that you're under is immense. You can't mess about, you can't have another take. So, you are under much more pressure than you ever were standing up there, because you've got exec producers, you've got first assistant directors, you've got directors, you've got the props guy, you've got everybody else trying to do their job, and they're trying to get the job finished in a day. Everybody's under a load of pressure, okay? And into that, you've got to come and be brilliant. It's pretty hard to do, right? So let's start getting that into it. So that business there, when you're trying to say to someone your story, and they're telling you their story, that's a pretty good idea of what goes on a film set, on a television set, okay? Because you've got all of these things that are going on. So if you haven't done your homework, if you haven't learned to walk across the room without thinking about it, then it becomes difficult, and you can get knocked off course. So the better you are at being able to turn up on set with little or no rehearsal, and we're going to do that today. We're going to do something called Rehearsed Record, which is what you do in television on a stage. For those of you that have done it already, you know you get 3 weeks. Very nice way of working. You get as and some of you will know this, I like to work a week on the book, so I'm reading it. A week without the book, so I'm just making it up, but I don't have any pressure. I don't put myself under pressure to get the right words. And in the final week, I try and put the two things together. And that's a lovely way of working. On television, you've got to learn the words, so you know them all. Then you've got maybe 15 minutes to rehearse the scene, and then you're shooting it. Okay? So if you've got anything else going on in your head at that time, you're going to be, well, let's put it another way. It's better. You're going to find life a lot easier if you don't have other things going on. So that's what we're working towards. Okay, so there are two types of ways that you will film with a camera. Most feature films are done with one camera. Okay? So, and that's why they take so long to film, because you have one camera and you shoot everything on that one camera. Now, from what I'm saying now, if we were doing a feature film, Paul would do a nice big wide shot of me. He would then do what we call an MCU, which is a mid close-up, which is probably that much of me, and then he would do a close-up of me there. So we would do the same thing 3 times. Okay? And I've got to get all the words the same and the movement the same every time, especially if I'm working with another actor, so that the editors can cut it properly, because otherwise, again, and the more that you can do that, the more likely you are to be employed again, because nobody says, oh God, that was terrible trying to cut that person, they couldn't get the continuity of it. So that's one way of doing it. So what we would do, as I said with Nick just now, we would do a scene. Nick would be standing there, I would be doing my bit to Nick, then Paul would move the camera, he would come over here and would do the whole thing again. And depending on the director, when we're over there we'll be filming Nick, depending on the director, we might do the whole thing 3 times again. He might have a wide from this angle, he might have an MCU from this angle, and he might have a close-up. So you might do the same scene 6 times. Yeah? So that's single camera work, and we're going to be doing some of that later on. Okay? Actually, we've done really well. I was really worried that we wouldn't get
Is that movement then? Is that the movement part of learning acting, or getting yourself in the right position each time?
Absolutely, that's one of the things. So, now when we come on, so you couldn't do that. If you were doing that, you couldn't possibly shoot 20 minutes a day, because, shoot 20 minutes, you're shooting more than 20 minutes a day, but obviously the stuff that gets through to the final film is only a snippet of what you've actually shot, because you give the editor all the options. But if you try to do that and then get 20 minutes out of the day, it would be impossible. So the solution to that is called multi-camera. Okay? Now multi-camera is when you have several cameras, and they will shoot the whole scene as if it's a play. But that puts enormous pressure onto you as an actor. So you have to do it less times, probably, but you have to be absolutely precise. Now, if I walk into a shop and Paul is expecting me to be, let's say that's my mark. Now, sometimes we would put marks on the floor, but sometimes, because it's a wide, you can't put a wide master shot. You can't put marks on the floor because the camera will see them. So you've got to work out. You've got to take reference points from somewhere to work out. Now, Paul's expecting me to be there. Now, he's a good cameraman, but if I come in and I go just one step more and I'm here, he's got to move the camera, right? Which doesn't seem like much of a hardship, but it is if you've got so many things set up. And he's rehearsed this as well, don't forget. He's rehearsed what he's going to do, because he might have to pan across there really quickly to pick somebody else up. So now, not only have I got to think about my lines, I've got to think about where I am in the shot, in the scene. And that's not just once, because in the scene now I might be moving over here, and now I've got to find another mark, and I've got to be on it in a certain amount of speed. Now hopefully, despite the fact he's really good, Paul will have missed some of that, which actually when people are watching it back online, they will see how difficult that becomes for the cameraman when they don't know what you're going to do. So you have to do stuff absolutely as rehearsed. And, as I said just now, you've only rehearsed it for 15 minutes. Right? So if you think about those things, when you're talking to that person that you were talking to, and you're on your set, and you know, oh my God, that's Mark Pegg, oh my God, that's David Craig, oh my God, that's Barbara Windsor. All of these things are going on in your head as well. But you've got to be able to, as much as you can, block that out and focus on your job, which is why I wanted you to do that little thing just now, so just to give you the idea of what that's like, and just being focused on what you're doing. So they're the two different styles of filming on camera, and they both bring their own challenges, and some people find it one more difficult than the other. Paul, have you got anything to?
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that I would add to missing your mark like that, when you hit your mark here perfectly, I had you perfectly framed. I did manage to follow you across and get you framed over here, but I also had the lamping shot. So when you miss your mark, there are all other problems that you may not have anticipated that come into play, such as, there might be a member of crew stood there who's expecting you to stop, who is confident that they're not going to be in the shot. But if I've overpanned to compensate for an actor's movement, I'm going to catch all of that, and that has happened more times than I can think of. So yeah, hitting your mark is absolutely crucial, not only to me, but also on a real film. I'd have an assistant keeping you in focus, because both my hands would be occupied on a feature film, because we'd be using a different tripod head, which is called a geared head. And a geared head, instead of having this handle, has two wheels. So I can't operate the camera and keep you in focus. So there'd be an assistant keeping you in focus, and that's quite often a difficult thing to do if you miss your mark. One of the reasons being is that these lenses have a range which they can focus, and if you get too close, it becomes impossible to focus. So there are a lot of technical reasons why hitting the mark is completely crucial to the crew as well.
Excuse me, sir. What's your name, sorry?
Paul.
Paul.
Yes.
You've been doing this for a long time, obviously.
Since I hit the age of 18, which is about a year ago.
So when you first started, you always missed the mark, or?
No. I mean, when you start out as an assistant.
Sure.
I didn't start out operating camera. I practiced operating camera while I was an assistant, but you build up to being an operator, and then a DOP quite often doesn't touch the camera.
Right.
A DOP has an assistant, a camera operator who will operate the camera, and he's helping select shots with the director, and is completely in charge of lighting. So there's enough to get on with as a DOP without operating the camera as well. So by the time I got to operating, I was pretty good at hitting those marks myself, but if the actor misses their mark, I've got to then compensate.
Right.
And that was something that I wasn't prepared for when I initially started. And there have been lots of times where I managed to keep them in frame even though they missed the mark, and suddenly there's a lighting standing shot, we've got to go again. And it's something you never want to have to say, because you're basically passing the blame on to someone else and saying, I screwed up, but really it was their fault.
And what happens then is that you probably cost the production £3,000.
Time is money, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And then you have. Then try and think about what your lines are and what your mark is.
And when you're shooting film, which isn't so common, it's not unheard of these days, people still shoot film for features. You've got 11 minutes on a mega film. That 11 minutes costs about £400 for film, and another £400, £500 for developing it and getting it into a form that can be edited. Plus the time it takes to go through all those extra takes as well. So it increases the edit time, it increases the assistant editor's time. Everything has a knock-on effect and increases the amount of time. Time on set is the most expensive. So time on set is crucial, but it does mean additional time in post-production, as well as additional storage. Not just data storage when it comes to digital, but physical storage of all those cans of film. The average film shoots about 250,000 feet of film, and 11 minutes is 1,000 feet, so you do the math on that. It's a big amount of storage space. A can of film is 1,000 feet, so 5,000 feet is about a mile.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you one story about that from my own stuff. When you're doing a soap opera, you don't know your character changes from when you start doing it to when a new writer will come on and he'll say so. So turns out all of a sudden they decided that my character had a Mercedes convertible. It was great. And they said, it turned up, and they said, oh, it's a convertible. Sorry, it's an automatic. You can drive an automatic. Yeah. So I was out in the back lot at L Street practicing driving this thing. So now, I've not only got to get myself on a mark, I've got to get a car that I've never driven an automatic before. I've got to get that on a mark. And this is true. What happened was the first take, I came in and it was into the market, and I was meant to pull up next to a store where Patsy Palmer was doing some whatever she was selling, and I came in like this, and all that tension came on, and I missed the mark and hit the stall, and the stall jumped about 4 foot. Now, if you can imagine the pressure I was under for the rest of the day, because we had to reset, we had to do that, everybody had to do it. I felt terrible. I couldn't have just had a white mist in front of my, So that was an extreme example. So that's one of the things I want you to be aware of, that when you turn up, it's one of the biggest shocks in the world. So get practicing that. Get all these things that we're doing now. You can prepare for that. And that's a seagull.
That is a seagull.
Let's just be aware of that. All of these things, you don't realise actually, when you're at drama school, you don't realise that all of these things are going to happen to you, but they do. So just be aware. And you're all of you, right? You're all going to be on television sets. There you go, I've said that. There's no reason whatsoever. Don't you call that face at me, Bethany. For those people at home, Bethany was going, bye. Bethany's definitely going to be on stuff. So, again, and this is true, Christian knows this, we're men of a certain age. We dye our hair white to get ourselves a bit more, I say mine off.
At least you've got it.
Yeah.
Just watching them.
One of the great things about being where I am now is that, seriously, some of my mates that 20, 30 years ago were in classes like this with me, when I was learning, are now the biggest stars in the world, and they've won Oscars, and they're James Bond, and they're everything. That happens. You have to believe that. Right? There's no difference whatsoever. You put the work in. We talk a lot about this. We talk about why Daniel Craig is James Bond, why Olivia won the Oscar. These are things that you need to do off. So there's 3 things that you need to do. 2 are closely related: technique and art, and business. Business is very important as well. So just remember that what we are talking about today is something that you are going to experience, without a doubt. If you haven't already experienced this, as some of us already have.
So apart now marking out.
Yeah. Right, so one of the things, if you're working on a soap opera, because we're going to focus mainly on EastEnders from now on, just for this one, one of the things that is odd about working on a soap opera is that the company, the actors, are fairly constant. You have guests come in and everything, but you might know them anyway, and worked with them before. But the directors, normally if you're doing a feature film, the director is the director, all the way through, so you're working with one director. When you're doing a soap, you have a new director coming each week. And obviously when you're doing a soap, you can't have these name tags on, so they don't know what your name is as an actor, but they do know what your character's name is. So they will call you Max or Stacey, yeah, rather than your real name. The problem came for me was that my name's Mark Pegg and everybody calls me Peggy. So the director would say, Peggy, just walk over there, and I'd walk over there, Barbara would walk over there, and I'd say, what are you doing, you muppet? And I said, you told me. Anyway, that's another thing. Right, so we are now in this kind of rehearse record phase, okay? We're at the stage where we are going to shoot a scene. Christian and Sarah have probably had the script for as long as they have had it, and, you know, just a couple of days, maybe. On EastEnders, you get the scripts for the next week on the Friday. So you've got a lot of work, depending on whether you're featured in the storyline or not. You've got a lot of work to do. So generally speaking, you might flick through it, but you might not have had too much time to learn it in exactly the same way that we haven't had too much time to learn it. So you'll be familiar with the scene, and you will talk it through with the director. Now I'm the director in this case, and I'm going to talk it through with these actors. Now this we call blocking, because we are going to work with the cameraman, so the cameraman knows where we are going to stand, where we're going to end up, what shots he's got to get. Okay, so the first thing that we'll do is we talk about the actors, about what the scene's about. Okay, so you both had a chance to read it. What do you think is going on in this scene?
Stacey has propositioned Max. Basically, she's like winding him up, saying, I've got a Valentine's card, was it from you?
Yeah.
Because obviously she likes him, but she's trying to like egg him on.
Okay, yeah.
He doesn't want to be that way.
Okay. Right, so, brilliant. Okay, so there's two things that we're doing. In terms of playing what your character wants, both these actors know exactly what their character wants. If they play that, everything will be a lot easier. So, how are we going to move it? We've got sort of movement going in that direction, haven't we? Which is driven by Max, and Stacey has to arrest that, doesn't she? So she has to stop him. So maybe there's a two-shot to start with. You know, and this is it. We're doing this on the fly. This is how it works. Yeah. So. Actually, that's not fair. Probably, maybe the directors thought about this a little bit more than that beforehand. But generally speaking, so there's a two-shot going on here. Max is walking away. He stops there. We've got to work with Paul to make sure you're in frame. Okay, so you've got another thing to think about. You've got a mark to hit by the time you've stopped. And Sarah, you have got a job to do because you've got to stop him.
Okay.
Yeah. So you've got to know what Christian's mark is. So it gets more complicated every second, doesn't it, really? So you've not only got to know your own is, you've got to stop, so you've got to say your line by the time he gets to here, Paul?
Yeah, that's good for me.
Right, so, Chris, just come and stand here. What you've got is you've got that pillar there, and you've got just to the right of there. We might, if we get into trouble, we might use some gaffer or something and mark it on the floor if we're in trouble. So, yeah. So Sarah's out of shot to start with, I think, and we'll rehearse the scene through, and then we'll worry about where the camera's going to go. So, off you go in your own time.
Okay.
I got a card this morning.
Well, St. Valentine's card.
Was it from you?
That's between me and her. I think you got it mine.
I got a card this morning. You stopped. I said, was it from you? I don't send Valentine's card, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. There's one thing which you will see when we put this up. Who thinks Chris is a good-looking fella? Yeah? Come on, you know? We all want to see his face, don't we? And so what you did, you turned around over that shoulder. So all we saw was the back of your head. Okay, so again, that's something that you've got to bear in mind. So you've got to come into here and you've got to go that way. So now he will see you. Yeah, so again, it's little things like that with the camera that we need to think about. So every time that you turn the camera, you'll be thinking about Chris's lovely face. For the next 50 years. Again, that's absolutely right. It's always asked. Next has made a good point. What's the shot? What shot is he taking? How close is it? So you'll often see an actor asking a DOP or a camera operator, how tight they are. Now, if it's scripted. Yeah, but what you'll know is that actually, if you're there, he's going to be fairly tight anyway because he's got a much wider lens than that necessarily. I don't know how wide you could go.
I'm on a 35 at the moment.
Oh, okay, you're right, yeah. So, but again, so the actor would, if you want to know that, the DOP will tell you. And if you're going wrong with it, if you say, look, I'm really tight with this and we'll do that, maybe on this scene, maybe one later.
Yeah.
We'll work specifically on that. And the differences that you've got, because if you're invited here, then everything you can't.
There is a trick to knowing what the shot size is without asking anybody.
Okay.
First thing you've got to do is learn the lenses. So if you know that a 35mm is fairly wide, a 24 is really wide, a 50 is going to be close, and an 85 is going to be really tight, depending on the position of the camera in relation to the actors. But basically, the wider the lens, a wide lens sees that, a long lens or a tight lens sees that. Now, if you're on a feature film where you've got a second assistant camera person with a clapperboard, they are putting the clapperboard 1 foot from the camera for every 10mm of lens. So if I'm on a 35, which I am now, the clapper loader will be 3.5 feet in front of the camera. So if you see that happen, if you see the clapper loader with the clapperboard is 5 feet from the camera, you will then know it's a 50mm lens, which will then give you an idea of what the shot size is. But it takes practice to know that. So start looking at where the clapper loader is with the clapperboard and start thinking about what that lens is and what that lens is doing. And that will eventually, once you've kind of mastered it, that'll give you an idea of what the shot size is without asking anybody.
Pretty good. What I was saying while you were just talking about something that is very important, professionalism. While we are messing about and we are playing, and it's really important we play and we have fun, but don't confuse that with not being professional. Okay, so get this drummed into you, right? Because of the whole way the business works, and everybody thinks that we're flippant and we don't care and all that sort of stuff. No successful professional actor is like that. Successful professional actors, 1, never be late for a casting. 2, never be late for a job. If you're going to be late for somewhere, phone and say you're going to be late. If you're unavoidably delayed. B, you have to be more professional than anyone else because of the nature of the business. Okay? And the other thing is never turn up on the set drunk. Go home drunk, but don't turn up. Never do that. Again, because words will get out. Okay, so
You might never do that again, as if like you
He's being hungover good though, because then that lady just won an Oscar, the British actress, said she went really hungover to this audition and got it because she could be so natural.
It has advantages, but people, you have to remember, right? You have to remember that what we say as Mark Pegg Limited, what we say as Olivia Colman Limited, yeah? What we say as Bethany Ann Richardson Limited is different to, yeah? So one is Rex Harrison at home watching wrestling, yeah? And the other one is Rex Harrison going out to buy a bottle of milk. They're two different things. So sometimes what you say in interviews is said for a reason that isn't necessarily the right reason, yeah? I know people go, oh God, it was so easy. When I got, oh yes, like, one of the things that happens a lot is you'll hear an actor say, yeah, I got a call, when I heard they wanted me to play so-and-so, it was brilliant. And I'm sitting at home laughing because it's like, yeah, I know that you spent 5 months phoning them up, begging them every day to let me play so and so. When you spin it, you make it look like it was you were the first choice. Because that's the thing that we do as actors, because we have this company and we have a PR thing, you know, that we're trying to run. So again, don't confuse the two necessarily. A lot of the time it's about hard work. Maybe if you've got a cold, you might be better. Maybe if you are hungover. I'm not saying you won't ever be hungover on set, but professionalism counts for an awful lot.